In this video, we'll talk about the fire element facial features in relation to joy and happiness, as well as a cautionary when you have no visible facial wrinkles after the age of 40 when your face is at rest. Enjoy. When we think about the fire features on the face, the easiest way to think about this are any area on the face that appears to be pointy or sharp. Now, categorically, there are a few areas we want to track specifically where we see this show up a bit more, and those areas are the inner and outer tips of the eyebrows, the tips of the ears, the inner and outer canthus, or the inner and outer tips of the eye, the tip of the nose, the two tip points at the top of the mouth, the outer tips of the mouth right here, and lastly, which is not a pointy feature, but the iris, the colored portion of your eye. So it's also worth noting that the lighter the coloring of the eye, the more aligned with the fire element it's said to be in the person. So with all of that being said, the basic idea out of the East is that if you have fire features, if we see an element represented on your face, you need to engage that. Essentially, if you carry it, you must wield it. That is how we stoke and nourish life forces. You have to embody the thing that you are. So, with that being said, what are some of the fire rhythms? First and foremost, being willing and ready to laugh easily, cultivating wit, not being easily offended, having an attitude of gratitude, optimism, throwing house parties, hosting dinner parties, anything in the spectrum where people are together and laughing, or where you can laugh, smile, and have a good time. This is the fire element. You need to engage these rhythms. This is a necessity for people that have a lot of fire on their face. If they don't, they will start to feel the spark of life diminish or go out completely, which is not great. So the research doesn't lie in this area either. People that have higher emotionality, people that are in more positive emotional states, their life expectancy is longer. People have reduced inflammation. They have increased fertility, better immune response. And just the opposite is true for people who are pessimistic. People who see the glass being half empty, collectively, all of those health metrics go down. They simply don't live as long, and they are depleting to be around. So being around a fire deficient person, so some people have more fire than others, but when we are around a person who is actively deficient in the fire element, they are not fun to be around. It's very depleting to be around them at an interpersonal level, and it's also depleting for them. So it's a lose-lose. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is that in the context of the fire element, wrinkling during smiling is a fire marker indicator. So when someone smiles and they get wrinkles on the face, this is a very favorable thing in face reading. This is great. Like, celebrate those wrinkles when you smile. Specifically, an area that we track in the West here is this area right here. So in the West, we call these crow's feet. My late teacher, Lillian Bridges, did not like that term at all. She said that is a horrible way to think about it. Those are joy lines. And the way to think about that area is that if we see these when a person smiles, it means that joy and happiness are being extracted or squeezed out from the life terrain. And that's a very good thing. Now, there is a word of caution with the fire element. If, after the age of 40, when the face is at rest and we see no wrinkles, that's a problem. That means fire deficiency. And any deficiency in any organ, yeah, we want it to be remedied, for sure. But in the fire element, it's especially true. The question is why? In the five-element theory, each of the elements houses two organs at a time. So for instance, the metal element regulates the lung and large intestine function. The earth element regulates the spleen and stomach. But when you get to the fire element, it regulates four organ systems: the heart, the small intestine, the pericardium, and the sanjiao, or what's called the triple heater. The sanjiao is an integrated network of our glandular system. All the glands that produce hormones: the pituitary, the hypothalamus, the thymus, the thyroid, the pancreas, the adrenals, all of those. That's an integrated network, an energetic network that is, there's no counterpoint in the West for that idea, but the sanjiao is this integrated network of our hormonal transport system, essentially. So we don't want a deficiency in this element. It's not good. So after the age of 40, we should see some visible wrinkles. And even in your 30s, if the face looks like it has a dull affect, you can see this. A person's face that lacks fire will look dull. They don't smile much. When they walk into a room or greet people, they don't smile. When they come home from work, they don't smile immediately. They have sort of a stoic look on the face. And some people carry more of that naturally, and that's okay. But if it's chronically like that, it's not great. So if we see a face that lacks wrinkles after the age of 40, chances are there's an over-engagement in negative emotions. Things like pessimism, things like complaining, excessive worry, all those things will make the soul essentially overly serious. So a face that is lacking fire essentially looks very serious. And you will see this in people's personality. It will show up in, they take everything too seriously. Their job, their place in the world, who they are, what they do. If they make a mistake, they can't laugh at it. It's not a good thing. You really need to keep the fire element tonified. We all need to keep it alive, because in the context of the East, the fire element houses the Shen, or the spirit or the soul of a person. And because of that, it protects and regulates more energetic territory than the other elements. So make sure your fire element stays alive. Hope this finds you well. Thanks.